Welcome. It's the fourth quarter. I know yesterday in all of the videos I was saying third quarter, third quarter, third quarter. I meant fourth quarter. It's fourth quarter. We're business planning and we're talking about what you need, the number one must have when doing business in Africa, the number one tool entrepreneurs and investors need when deciding to do business on the continent of Africa before you even get here, right? So if you would find this valuable, you want to stay tuned to this live. For those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Ashley. On my channel, Ashley in Africa, I talk about my experience of moving and doing business here on the continent of Africa. I currently live in South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa, to be exact. And this is my second country of residence here on the continent of Africa. All right, so welcome. I am also the founder of Africa Investors Academy, which is a member only community of entrepreneurs and investors who are building businesses, growing businesses, creating location independent businesses so that they can invest in projects here on the continent of Africa. And we have an upcoming event this Friday, a masterclass where we'll be covering the basics, mastering the basics of investing in Africa this Friday, October 6th in the Africa Investors Academy. And we would love to have you there. And so on this video today, we're going to talk about the number one must have. What is the number one must have you must have when doing business? I'm going to tell you in this video, but as you're coming in, please greet me in the chat. Go ahead and let me know where you're joining from, what country in Africa you are interested in. I'm currently in South Africa, and I'm going to be talking really about the continent, right? So this talk is going to be very specific, is not going to be as specific to South Africa as some of the past talks, right? Because you need this tool no matter what country you're doing business in on the continent of Africa. All right. So greet me in the chat if you would like to be greeted. And of course, please like this video, share it with someone who would find value in it. The algorithm really loves when people like videos, especially lives, when they're, newer, because that means that it's great and it will suggest it to other people that are tuning into YouTube, right? And if you appreciate this content that I create for you, please do that. It's a small, free, easy thing that you can do. Of course, we do love and appreciate super chats. So go ahead and drop me a super chat if you want to show some additional love. Welcome, Won Wade. And my cousin, Jam So Divine. I'm so happy you caught the live too. I love you so much. I miss you, Won Wade. Welcome. You're joining from the States, but you are interested in Nairobi, Kenya, I'm going to assume, right? Africa is king. Welcome. Shout out to Josie. Oh, but we don't have an ocean, right? From East London. No, oh, we don't. We don't. But we have Sun City, the wave pool. Thank you for joining. Thank you for commenting. Please like this video. We've got 17 folks joining this live. Please like it, share it with someone who would find value in it. We should have at least 17 likes because we've got 17 folks in the live. All right. So this week we are doing business planning, right? It's fourth quarter and we are looking at what our business is going to do in 2024, right? We're talking marketing strategy, we're talking growth, we're talking advisors, we're talking support systems, technology, all of the things, right, that we need to incorporate into our business for us to grow. And as you know, on my channel, as well as my mission just in life, is to promote entrepreneurship on the continent of Africa through community. My mission is to impact the lives of 10 million Africans globally through entrepreneurship and community for the interest of growth for the continent of Africa, right? So that is my mission. That is my work. That is my purpose. One of my purposes. And so I do that through sharing content here on YouTube, but also in the Africa Investors Academy, where I work one-on-one with entrepreneurs and investors by helping them to scale their businesses and connecting them with vetted experts, right? And so the number one must have when doing business in Africa is having a legal expert, a vetted legal expert on your team, also known as an attorney. So doing business in the US, and I did business, I was an entrepreneur just like off and on for the past 20 years, ever since university. And I never really engaged attorneys unless like I had tax issues, which I did have tax issues at one time early on in my career in business. And that was it really, because there's so many different online resources like LegalZoom where you can go on, draft a basic legal document. So and I never applied for trademark or anything like that. So most entrepreneurs can kind of get away with, not seeking legal advice, until they're maybe scaling six figures. Well, it's not that way here on the continent, right? Business is not done the same way as it is done in the US, and advocates, as they're called here in South Africa, are so important. And I'm going to tell you why in three different reasons. Three of my top reasons why having an attorney on your side, on your team, before you sign a contract, before you do an ounce of work or do anything, it's so important for three reasons. And I'm going to go into those on this live today. All right. So welcome, D. Cox from Illinois. You've been to Banjul, Gambia, and Dakar. Amazing. You're interested in Tanzania. Welcome. Welcome, Shiloh from Limpopo, Sawubona. Hi, Keisha from Central Florida. On your way to moving to SA next year? Yay! Visited this year in May. Loved it. Looking forward to another visit before we permanently move. Fantastic. Welcome to the live. One Wade. Yes, we will get into that. Do I host tours soon? Right. So I'll be announcing some things towards the end of this month, right? So stay tuned for that one, Wade, or go ahead and head to AfricaInvestorsAcademy.com and sign up for my email list. Get that free guide, the top 10 six-figure business models for doing business in Africa. You can get that guide. Once you get that guide, you'll opt in to receive our monthly emails, and you'll be the first to hear. So the people on my email list get the first updates on events, get priority access to events, and then obviously members of the Africa Investors Academy get priority to those membership only events. But if you sign up on the website, you for my email list, you get updates on when I'm doing new projects, including tours in South Africa. So stay tuned. Gem So Divine, thank you for the super chat. Oh, love you, cuz. Miss you, love you so much. I really appreciate your support. All right, so the number one must-have when doing business in Africa. Wait, hold up. Let me check the likes. Let me know. Can we get a like count? I'd like for us to be at least 15 likes before we move into the number one reason why an attorney is the most important tool you will need when doing business on the continent. All right, so we got 11 likes. Let's get to 15 likes before we jump in. And be ready to ask me some questions. So go ahead and start asking questions in the chat about our topic. Like the video, go ahead and close the chat and like the video. All right, fantastic. I appreciate you. We are at 15. Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, so number one reason, the regulatory environment, knowing what is happening, what is available, what is not available for you as a foreigner, as an immigrant in this country. It's really important, and an attorney is going to tell you. So yes, do your research. You can YouTube, you can Google, you can go to the government websites, but I'll tell you, from living in Africa for almost 3 years, those websites, they're hardly ever 100% accurate, right? There's hardly ever 100% of the information you need available on those websites, which is why an attorney, the support of attorney, and a vetted, qualified attorney is so important. They are going to give you the information that you need to know about doing business, investing, purchasing real estate, right? Because they are familiar with the regulatory environment of their country. And so you want to know that stuff. The second reason, so let me stop there, right? So that's the first reason. And I'll say for me, having lived now in 2 different African countries, I still retain both of my attorneys. I have an attorney in Tanzania. Her name is April. She's a vibe. She's amazing. And she was the third attorney that I just grooved with, right? It took me about 2 years to find her, and really vet her and know, like, okay, she knows her stuff. April studied in the US. She traveled, she's world traveled, and she has so much information about investment opportunities, regulations, incentives, different opportunities for investors. Thus, she was my partner when doing the Africa Investors Summit in Tanzania this past August, and she killed it. She's amazing. And so she's constantly able to provide me with insights, updates, trends, things that I need to know, who I need to know. Which leads me into my number 2 reason, relationships and introductions. The right attorney is going to introduce you to the right people. One of the other things that's so important that I'll talk more about in our masterclass on Friday is the importance, and I spoke about it yesterday, the importance of aligning yourself with government as a foreigner, showing that you're providing value to this, the economic development of the country that you desire doing business or investing in. And so the right attorney is going to have all of the relationships to secure meetings, and engagements between you and the proper government officials. April hooked me up. She connected me to the president's office in Tanzania, to the mayor's office, to different bankers, to different developers, right? And so through my working with her and me sharing my vision and her buying into that vision and us building a relationship, while it took us, 2 years to get there, when it came time to actually activate and do business, she essentially made sure that I met the right people and continues to do that, right? And so even here in South Africa, my attorney Dan, he's amazing. He's an OG. A breadth of information and relationships, right? So the current ANC government of South Africa, he used to be an attorney inside the ANC. And so he has relationships with different government officials, different ministers, et cetera. I don't even think they call ministers. Yes, they are called ministers here in South Africa. And so those relationships are everything. South Africa, Tanzania, as in addition to mostly all of the African countries, is a relationship-based economy, right? You're going to be doing business. You're going to need to fortify relationships with people. And so that's the number 2 reason why having an attorney is a must-have when doing business on the continent of Africa. All right. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So that's the number 2 reason. And why do I have 2 attorneys, right, in 2 different countries? Well, I do business in 2 different countries. So I do business in Tanzania and I do business in South Africa. And so I am desiring residency in both of these countries. Thus, it's important for me to keep and maintain legal representation. The first thing that you're going to run into when visiting a new country and doing business is the law, right? They're the first people that you meet. They are the people that are at immigration, that are welcoming you into the country. They represent the legal constitution of that country. And so the advantages of having an attorney just outweigh so many of the disadvantages, which are really none except maybe the expense, right? But I'll say that even here in South Africa, when I needed to get my Wi-Fi, I needed to be able to have a letter stating my residence status. And that I needed an advocate signature. And luckily, I didn't have to go to the police station or go to a random advocate and them charge me an hourly rate. I was able to email my attorney's paralegal team and have them handle that within a matter of minutes for me to be able to submit to get Wi-Fi, right? So it's such a benefit to be able to have an attorney on on your team. I don't know if y'all can hear my daughter just singing in the background. She's just singing, doing what she does. All right. So question, you mean, am I going to expand my business plans to other African countries in the future? Absolutely. That's the goal. That's the plan. Right now, we're in 2 countries, South Africa and Tanzania. My goal is to head into Ghana and Kenya, within the next year, actually, by 2025. So thank you for asking that. So the number one reason the number one must have is an attorney. And the number one reason to have them is so that they can explain the legal regulations, the regulatory environment. And they can also introduce you to people, the relationships that you're going to need. All right. And the number 3 reason is essentially they are able to give you a perspective of their country. Because as a foreigner, there's just a lot that we don't know. And so you want to have somebody that is able to tell you kind of not only what's going on now, but what has been going on in the country for the last 5, 10, 20 years, to be able to frame certain things that you may see as a foreigner that don't necessarily make sense or are culture shocks for you. So today I had a beautiful brunch with my attorney. And we oftentimes will meet up a couple times a month to kind of go over what's happening, the things that I'm working on. And my attorney is such a great storyteller. His name is Dan. And he decided at the age of 9 years old that he was going to be an attorney because at the time, Nelson Mandela was an attorney and he was in prison in Robben Island during the apartheid regime. And he was inspired by Nelson Mandela to become an attorney. And 20 years later, he had an opportunity to meet Nelson Mandela. And Nelson told him, to continue on his journey, his law journey, because once the government took over, once apartheid regime was no longer, that they were going to need attorneys to be able to know the constitutional law to protect the community, the citizens, and the people of South Africa, because the law is what is most important to know. Politicians oftentimes don't know the law, right? But they have a passion and a drive to help their people. But what the attorneys know is the law, the Constitution, and they're able to position themselves and whatever their missions are for their clients to be successful. And so for years, decades, he participated as a body, a legal body within the ANC. And today, has a very strong and beautiful perspective on where the country is today. And so there's nothing like, especially a country like South Africa, with such a dynamic history, hearing people that can tell a story about what the country has been through, what the country has come through, what the country has overcome, and what the country will continue to do. One second. Had to just give a mommy, you know what I'm saying? It's just a mommy shout out. And so your attorney, I mean, he's an OG. My attorney in Tanzania, April, she's in her early 30s. So obviously they provide different perspective, right? But the stories, the information, the knowledge that I'm able to get, I always learn something new when I sit with Dan. And I'm always so inspired and so encouraged because he's just happy to have me here. And he is confident in my ability to contribute to the economy of South Africa. And it's always just amazing to have that support and encouragement and advisory from somebody who knows the game, that knows the market, that knows the law, that knows the history, and that can advocate for me in different areas, in different rooms that I'm not even in, right? And so when you're doing business, or even just wanting to get access into a new country, right? You want to have legal representation because you never know what could come up. And like I said, I didn't necessarily have this concept when I was in the US because, that was where I was from and I felt pretty comfortable. But I will say that it is the number one must have that I'm so grateful that I'm able to have a question or have an emergency and I can dial up my attorneys, and they're going to get back to me. And if they're not going to get back to me, their assistants will get back to me with a time of when my attorney is going to get back to me. Right. So they are so, so, so important. And you absolutely want to make sure that you have a vetted, proper attorney for when you plan on striking up deals, setting foot in your new home country and, begin your business journey, right? And so this is what we do in the Africa Investors Academy. We connect our founders with our community of vetted experts so that they can minimize the time and the energy and the money that I spent finding these guys, because there are a lot of conversations. And it's reality, right? It hasn't been my reality, but I will say that, people are concerned about being scammed here on the continent and doing business. And I'll say that this is having my attorneys close has made it so that I haven't had to worry about that, and that I have been advised well. Any situation that came about where someone tried, I had somebody, that had my back, right? That was able to make sure that I was in the best situation possible. All right. So, so our members, they get access to our advisors. Our advisors also will lead masterclasses as well, whether it's around investing in real estate or accessing residency by investment, or, how to structure your business so that you get the most tax benefits while living abroad, right? So these are all the conversations that we have in the Africa Investors Academy. If you have an interest in joining us, we would love to have you visit the link at africainvestorsacademy.com. Our masterclass for mastering the basics of investing is going to be this Friday, the 6th of October. All right, so let me know, do you have any questions about investing on the continent, doing business on the continent? Let me know. So thanks, cousin. Consider an attorney first. Absolutely. Consider an attorney and take your time, right? Take your time. The worst thing I see happening is folks that are just so excited. They come to the continent, they want to do business, they want to buy land, and they move too fast. And they engage an attorney to do and undo the mistakes that they've made. I did that. That happened to me. And so that's why I'm so passionate about saying, hey guys, don't do this, right? Avoid the money loss, the time loss, the headaches by engaging an attorney first. That's number one. Timothy, what about taxes? Does it affect my decisions? What do you mean? What about taxes? Does it affect my decisions? In what way? I think having done business in the US, I know like kind of the basics of taxes and what it means, but I will say that one of the advantages of doing business on the continent, in many different countries, not all countries, right? Every country is different when it comes to this, but tax incentives, tax holidays as foreigners. When you come and you decide that you want to do business in that country, you want to set up bank accounts and investment accounts, you, based on your investment amount or the region where you're investing, could potentially qualify for tax holidays, meaning you don't pay taxes for X amount of years. This is assuming that you are hiring, you're creating jobs, you're injecting capital into the economy. So governments are set up to support that type of work. And who knows those legal regulations? Attorneys, right? So my attorneys make sure that my businesses are structured so that I am paying the least amount of taxes possible while making sure that I'm also getting credit for creating jobs for people, which is ultimately pouring back into the economy directly through job creation and upskilling of the citizens, right? So I hope I answered your question, Timothy. Thanks so much for asking. Wonderful. So thank you so much, guys. Let me know if you have any additional questions. I appreciate you so much. We'd love to have you in the masterclass this Friday. You can join us at africainvestorsacademy.com. Head over to the website, check it out, learn more about the curriculum. I've got classes in the curriculum. I've got downloads. I've got templates. And essentially, members of our community get access to our vetted experts to save you thousands of dollars and hours of time, as well as headaches when attempting to do business and be successful on the continent of Africa. So if you found this live valuable, please be sure to like it and share it with someone who would also find value in it as well. They will be so happy that you did. Until the next video, guys, I will see you soon.